Good afternoon, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining our live chat today, brought to you by the California 2020 Census. Fill that out when you get the chance. Today, I'm joined with Alex and Paige Hernandez of Alex's Bar and Jim Ritson from 4th Street Vine. Recently, we wrote a story about our local music venues and how they're doing now that we've entered our sixth month into the pandemic. It's, of all the businesses that have been hit, it's arguable that live music venues have been hit the hardest, if not the longest so far. So we're here to talk to both of them about how they're doing. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Alex, I wanted to direct the first question towards you. Coming into the new year, we talked about how this year was looking pretty strong for you. Can you tell me about what 2020 was destined to be before the pandemic hit?
So 2020 was kind of like our victory lap, making it 20 years in the live music business is probably 40 years in, kind of dog years of what we do, it takes a lot of effort to make all these things happen. And we're looking forward to celebrating it, and milking it for all it's worth and stretching it out through the whole year. We had a bunch of artists lined up that we had such a solid year mapped out in front of us that we were concerned about ticket fatigue of our clientele just getting burned out on having so many good shows. So I mean it was looking to be a great year, and I was definitely concerned of my own personal health, having to get through all those awesome shows, Paige.
Yeah. And Jim, how about you?
Well, 2020, I mean, it was a busy year. All the years are busy. Like Alex said, we're just always supporting emerging bands that are here in town, and it's a place for lots of touring bands to play as well. So, we weren't celebrating our 20-year anniversary like Alex was, but, I think that both of us had full calendars all the time. And once it gets interrupted, it's pretty intense to think about restarting it.
So Jim, where are you right now, now that you've entered the 6 months, as far as your business?
Well, as far as the venue aspect of the business goes, there's not really a light at the end of the tunnel, I don't think. If there is, I'm not seeing it yet. We're hopeful that we can work with the city and figure out a plan to at least get our doors reopened, utilizing outdoor space. But honestly, it doesn't have anything to do with music at this point. Any music or performance that we are able to provide will have to be really creative, maybe a band inside that gets projected outside to customers. I'm not sure. Honestly, we're at such an early stage of even trying to get reopened that those details haven't even been discussed.
Before I ask the next question, I wanted to invite our listeners, if you have any questions for either Alex and Paige or Jim, feel free to post a comment and we'll try and get those answered for you. One reason that we asked both of you to come on today is because you both are in a very similar position. You're unable to open, and that's mainly because even though you have patio space available, so you could potentially put up a parklet, the main issue right now is that you don't serve food at your businesses, which means you can't open like many of your bars that do have full kitchens can do. Can you talk about what the major roadblock in that is right now as far as getting that set up with the city? Maybe Alex, if you'd like to start, or Paige.
Well, the roadblock is, every county in the state of California, with the exception of LA, breweries, bars like us have been allowed to partner with licensed food vendors. LA County, unfortunately, our numbers haven't allowed us to do that just yet. The numbers are trending in the right direction right now, but the health department's still waiting to see what Labor Day looks like. So if Labor Day doesn't spike, it's looking good for us. I mean, there's no guarantees that anything's going to happen just yet, but the conversations are ongoing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, stuff keeps trending downward, and that might crack a door open for us to open up in a small capacity, and you know start the first baby steps to getting back to what we do.
I know that you guys are still also running like a drive-through liquor store, which, as far as revenue, I think there's something there, but it's really not sustainable. So obviously, getting food right now would be the best choice for you guys. Jim, I know you've kind of led the discussion with the city as far as nailing down reopening plans. Can you share a little bit about maybe your latest talks with the city's health department and how that's going?
Sure. Yeah, we formed the Long Beach Bar Coalition about a month ago. So it's all owners of bars, specifically, just bars, not restaurants. And I feel like that we've been making progress on getting reopened, but it's still, they're not going to let us reopen as bars. And the main reason is because there's a state mandate from Gavin Newsom that just does not allow for bars to reopen. So fortunately, the city of Long Beach listened to the coalition and is trying to be creative and allow us a way to open if we look and feel like restaurants. And so, that's really all that's really the only progress that we've made so far. I don't mean to downplay it. I think it's really great. In fact, I'm pretty surprised how responsive everybody's been in the city. So that part's been really, really, really good. And it was kind of unexpected, honestly, but they've been great. So like Alex said, my general opinion about it is if we can open in any capacity, that's just that's the beginning. We all start getting busy again. We all start keeping busy and, getting to work and figuring out ways to get creative. I think we're all creative people in general, and it's just hard to sit on your hands for 6 months and, really hard.
I know that live music was a really integral part to both of your businesses. From what you've heard from people now that you've been closed, do you anticipate that you'll see, if you can reopen, do you anticipate that you'll see a lot of people coming out and supporting?
Absolutely. I think, neither of us really, at least Alex and I could speak for us, don't really have experience with running a restaurant. I've worked in many and, been around it my whole life. My dad's a restaurant designer, but, that's a whole new territory for us. But I feel like given that little shred of hope to cling to and possibly open, gives us like a new kind of fire lit under us to try to really expand our horizons and figure out a way to get our employees back to work. And I think we've gotten so much positive responses from people saying how much they miss not only our venue, but the rest of the coalition's venues, that I think our fan base will come regardless of a lack of live music. And, we'll figure out a way to still make it feel the ambiance of Alex's bar, whether I have to put a black velvet painting on a wood post outside, I'll do it, string lights, all that type of stuff. I think all of us are intrigued with the possibility of moving forward that way.
Yeah. There was this interesting idea proposed by Ron Hodges, who owns Shannon's and At the Top up there. And his idea, I wanted to see what you guys thought about it, was that people miss live shows so much that he believes that people would be so willing to come back that they might take multiple tests leading up to a show, even taking one at the door. Do you guys think that people, from what you've heard, might be willing to do something like that? What do you think about his plan?
I think people would be willing to do it. Is it cost prohibitive to do that? I mean, they're doing that in London right now. They're sort of testing the waters of doing shows, and there's no possible way to break even on that stuff where they're doing shows in like 3,000 capacity venues with 200 people and at least 150 staff to accommodate this 150, that many people. It's just, I mean, it's possible, but I mean, the ticket price would be like $500 to accommodate something like that, to do it safely. It's they're kind of doing it. The Frank Turner series that he did was just kind of to push the boundaries and try to see what it's going to take to make shows happen again at this point. So, go check out his blog. Check out Frank Turner's blog. It's pretty great.
Yeah. Jim, do you have an opinion, or is it about the same as what Alex proposed?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sentiment is accurate. People want live music, clearly. However, it just kind of reminds me of something I read early on in this that was sort of like a sci-fi show to me, where people would have cards that say, yeah, I have the antibody, and if you have the card, you can socialize, and if you don't, kind of this, I don't know, post-COVID world thing. But I don't know, people want to see live music. I know that. There's no money at 4th Street Vine. Our shows are free. So, I'm not sure how it would work. I'm not sure. It's all just going to get down to the numbers, I think, the COVID numbers.
Yeah, definitely. So out of all the bars or all the venues that I talked to for this story, there was about 8 of you in total. I chose to look at the leading places. Everyone kind of had a different position, but I think the one that really stood out was Miss Elsie Benz, who's the owner of Que Sera. She's owned that place. As the owner, she's been there for about 25 years, but she's been with the bar for at least 42, and it's been there for 46 years. Right now, she's really struggling. And Alex, I know you recently spoke with her about her situation. Can you share some of the things that she spoke with you about? I know that she's unable to reopen, no parklet space, and she's invested, I think, a lot of money as well.
Yeah, she's in a tough spot. Jim and I are considerably younger, and we've taken out loans, and we could take out loans, and conceivably we have the time to pay these loans back and get back to the good side and start working on our savings again. Where Ben's is at the end of her career at Que Sera, and she's burning through her retirement at this point. There really isn't an option for her to reopen as a restaurant. And I mean, she said in her mind, like, she couldn't endanger the public safety of putting a parklet out there on 7th and Cherry. It's just too dangerous. So, I think we as a community are gonna have to pull together and help Ben's out and get her a place where Que Sera can reopen and have her not being in unsurmountable debt at this point.
Do you know of any way right now people can help if they wanted to?
She has a GoFundMe going. I know Kendall McDermott has a Save Our Stages shirt that the proceeds are going to go towards 4th Street Vine, Que Sera, and Alex's Bar. You can find that on Kali Mucho's website. And then we're just trying to be creative and trying to find ways that we can help Ben's out,
There was also one that was made for you guys, Alex, and I think so far they've amassed an incredible amount. I think they were asking for 20,000, and you've got 27, I think. My first question is, were you ever expecting that kind of reception? And how long will that money be helping you as far as carrying on through the pandemic?
That'll take us to the end of the year. I mean, early to next year, as far as being able to pay some rent and pay some bills. It was overwhelming. Like, Mark and Cherokee McCluskey set it up without us kind of knowing. And we kind of woke up to it, and I was like, Go fund me. I wasn't super prepared. I wasn't prepared to go that route at all. But you know, after it already been put out there and had gone around, like it was extremely humbling. And you know, Paige and I are beyond grateful for everything people have contributed, because you know, it's hard to realize and reach out for help like that. You know, even though you know, I knew we were in need of that much help, but the realization of like, crap, we're not going to make it to the end of the year unless something happens, is, you know, it's just where we're at, you know.
Yeah. We've got actually a question from a viewer. Alex, Paige, this is directed towards you, but I think, Jim, this question could also apply for you. Someone's asking that if you guys were allowed to reopen and use a parklet space, serving food, all that jazz, would you be able to do live music outdoors as well?
No, I mean, live entertainment isn't allowed at this point. We definitely want to pursue it in a safe manner through, you know, possibly being able to live stream it from indoors to outdoors. But you know, that discussion hasn't even begun. We're just happy that we're at the place where we're potentially going to be able to partner with licensed food vendors. I mean, that's just the first step of many. So, you know, I mean, it's obviously what we do and what, you know, the bar exists for. So, you know, we're going to try to get back to that, but you know, we got to start that conversation after we get our doors open, just to serve, you know.
Does the same apply for even just acoustic shows? Like someone just comes out there with a guitar, or is it, so it's just zero, no live music at all?
It's my understanding, like no acoustic, no DJ, none of it. Like they're just, you know, not allowing it whatsoever.
You know, we've heard from so many musicians that there's a big difference between playing and performing. In your guys' minds, what is it about playing live that's so special and doesn't really translate so well online?
It's a connection between audience and crowd. I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's, you know, the need of the artist to get those feelings out and express it, and you know, the audience members to be there and connect with it. And you know, that's the whole thing in a nutshell. I mean, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's totally collaborative, right? The band is there, especially in places like ours. There are small places where the fans have access to get very close to the music that's happening. And I feel like the band takes as much from it as the fans do, and everybody's lost for a couple hours while it's happening. And that's just kind of the magic of it. There's no replacement for it. There just isn't. So, I mean, people want music, and I'm sure bands kind of want to play it. I haven't really got any feedback on what bands think about, you know, doing it streaming. I'm sure that a bunch of them just want to play, but I'm sure they miss music just like the rest of us. They want to get in front of the crowd.
Both of your spaces were two things. They were really important. They were kind of a launching pad for a lot of smaller bands. It's that place, square one, you know. And then I know you guys would also get a lot of touring musicians coming through as well. I think you would as well, Jim, if I'm correct.
Yeah, both.
It's, you know, arguably a space like yours is super important to building a local scene. Do you guys fear or in what way do you fear that the loss of your spaces might affect that kind of culture here? Have you thought about that at all?
I've thought a lot about it. Music scenes in towns are interconnected to the venues, to the local music scene, that they're like, to the musicians that are a part of it. A lot of times there's, you know, one or a couple of really powerful local musicians who inspire the music scene around them, but it's an ecosystem. You know, there's people making merch, there's people running sound, there's, like Alex described earlier, about the economics of music that he talked about with the guy from the road crew. Even at the ground level, there's still a full ecosystem here. And you know, if you take the venues out for some, you know, out of the equation, I don't think it doesn't kill the music scene, but it pushes pause probably while everyone regroups and something else starts to sprout over time. You know, so that's it. You know,
Yeah.
people need a place to play. Kids need a place to play.
Mm-hmm. And then there's also the touring aspect of it, Alex, I think, which you are a lot more involved with, as far as maybe bands traveling from LA to and from Orange County and finding a stop in your space. Given your insight and your connection with the touring scene, how are they doing?
It's rough. I mean, it's top to bottom. There's a lot of bands that are out there that are, you know, they're blue collar musicians, that this is how they support themselves and their families. And, you know, in that system, there's agents, managers, publicists, tour managers, sound guys, lighting directors. There's a giant ecosystem to all of this, and it's all been disrupted. I mean, everybody in the industry has been furloughed, and, you know, everybody's struggling to get through this. I mean, even gig workers are barely getting, you know, benefits at this point, you know. That stuff's barely kicking in for a lot of people. But I mean, if this thing does, if there's a mass kill off of venues and whatnot, Nate Jackson, Dennis Owens, and I had like a long conversation about it. Like, you know, it'll basically kind of revert back to the late 80s, early 90s, when a lot of those venues all died off. And a lot of people of our generation had to, you know, revert to the DIY book yourself, you know, ethics of, you know, doing shows in backyards, breaking into warehouses, finding public spaces like laundromats, and just plugging amplifiers in there. Like, you know, that was, you know, in the post vendors era of Long Beach, there's very few venues for people of my age to get into, until Ben's kind of opened up her doors to everybody and allowed us her stage and space to develop. But you know, musicians will find a way. They always have, they always will. You know, will it be on a legitimate stage with a legitimate sound system? Probably not, but you know, it'll always find a way. I mean, creatives find ways no matter what. Like, I mean, people have been making music since before time around fire pits. You know, it'll continue forward in some way, shape, or form.
For people that want to help the local scene right now, any suggestions on what they can do?
Buy merch from touring musicians that aren't on tour. That would be one thing. I think most people that aren't in the industry aren't privy to the fact that that's how touring musicians really make their money. They don't make a lot of money, you know, doing gigs on a $10 ticket that pays for gas, you know,
Yeah.
and lodging and all that stuff. So if you have a favorite band, and especially like, you know, one that's not on a major label and all that, like go to their website and help them out by just buying some merch. That would be huge.
Buy some records, buy some albums. Like, you know, streaming kind of killed that whole revenue stream for artists. And yeah, I mean, if you got extra disposable capital, buy some physical music, you know.
Yeah. This probably seems so far away from now, but have you guys thought at all about what that first show might look like, what band you might book if you could reopen with music? Are we talking something real wild or a little subdued? Any thoughts?
I know the first two bands I'm gonna invite back as soon as we can have live shows. Asquatch and Toys That Kill are on my list. That's the first ones I want to have play.
Are they local?
Yeah, Toys That Kill, San Pedro. Asquatch is local-ish. Guys live around.
I'm gonna arm wrestle Jim for both of those bands. Like, we'll do it online. We'll raise money. I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it, but yeah, I mean, there's so much out there. I don't know. Like, it just seems so far away. So
Totally.
Do you see any positives coming out of this whole experience, whether for your business or for the music industry, as far as people having to get inventive or creative in what they're doing? Do you see anything at all positive coming out of this? And it's perfectly acceptable if not.
I just think a general greater appreciation for the artists themselves and the people that work within the industry to make it all happen. I think you know, there's a lot of people that work within this industry that are out of sight, that, you know, aren't taken into consideration, and hopefully this will shine a little light on those people that work in the shadows. That, you know, if they do everything right, they should never be acknowledged for the great work that they do.
All right, so I think that's all we've got for today, unless Jim, you wanted to add something. You're good?
Nope.
Before we let you guys go, if people want to reach out and help you, if you could let us know the best way for them to do that. Jim, if you have an idea.
So we don't have a GoFundMe set up or anything. So, you know, the t-shirt sales through Calimucho, the Save Our Stages fundraisers, the only one we're actively participating in right now. Thank you so much. But stuff like this is a huge help. It's a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for inviting us.
Definitely. Alex, Paige?
We're doing live streams starting this weekend on Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th. Bart Barf, Mike Watt and the Second Men. We've got a bunch of interviews with Greg Hetson from Circle Jerks, Bad Religion, Red Cross, Mr. Josh Freeze from Devo, the Vandals, and about 10 million other bands that he's played on. Adrian Young from No Doubt interviewed. Benz from Que Sera, sound engineer extraordinaire Bill Black. Just tons and tons of great stories of people that have been affected by the shutdown. So trying to get that word out. And then Saturday the 26th, we have the Goodfoot with Dennis Owens. You know, doing what he does, bringing joy to the city of Long Beach. You know, tune in, give it a listen, and hopefully we can make it happen more regularly and make it a viable thing going forward. So
okay,
that's about it. Thank you, Shantae, for all that you've done. You know, Long Beach Post has been great supporters of local business and getting the word out of what Jim and Ben's, myself, and everybody else that's part of the Bar Coalition's struggle has been. Thank you guys. Like, I don't think that we would get as much traction as we had with the local government if you guys hadn't gotten our stories out there. So thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Nobody wants to see you guys go. I think the city has a great appreciation for live music in spaces like yours, so no problem. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks again, Jim, Paige, Alex, for joining us, and have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks for watching.
Thanks. You do the same.
Thank you.